Welcome to Eviliv3, the live media commentary, the show that answers the question, what is it about arcades that fills us with such nostalgia? Subscribe if you're new to the channel, because today we are reviewing HBO's The Last of Us, Season 1, Episode 7, Left Behind. And it appears I've left my co-host behind. Life got in the way, so I'm just going to have to take this one by myself. I hope that's going to be all right with all of you. So I look like a disembodied head because I'm wearing a black shirt. I should probably not wear black shirts when I do this. Anyway, ignore the floating face. This is directed by Liza Johnson, written by Neil Druckmann, and premiered yesterday. My initial thoughts of this episode are, I don't know if I can emotionally handle these shows anymore. Like, the high highs and the really low lows, it's sort of emotional roller coaster that this show is making me go through every episode is just, it's too much. And like, I don't like feeling that much. It makes me feel bad because it reminds me how little I feel in real life. Anything. No. But, you know, I mean, it's a lot to take in every damn week, right? It's ridiculous. All right. Well, just sort of stepping up, setting up this episode here. Joel and Ellie are, like Ellie's looking down at Joel, freaking out because he's dying. He's like, "You got to get out of here." And she's like, "No, you can't. I don't want to leave." And he's just like, "You're going to die on your own. So you have to go somewhere that's going to have someone to help you. Go back to my brother." And she leaves, and he see that one little tear fall out of his face. Ah, devastating. And he's like, crying because he doesn't want to leave her alone. Like, his whole purpose is to protect her, and now he can't. And so he's not even really worried about the fact that he's dying, only in as much as that's going to fail her. And I just love the sense of father, that parental tone that they've developed between each other. I think that's so wonderful to see. All right. So then Ellie gets flashbacks, and this goes back to the most joy-filled episode of just like sheer innocent joy this show has ever had yet. I mean, I think it was episode 3, and that was beautiful and heartfelt and wonderful, but this was like genuine joy, watching Ellie and her friend Riley just explore that damn mall. That was just amazing. It totally took me back. Hey, Chris, how you doing, man? So there's a couple things that I really want to sort of land on with this review. But first, I have to... So this has been bugging me since I watched it. I watched it twice. And when Riley is taking Ellie to the mall, they go to this one spot where they find a dead guy. And Riley says, "Oh, he wasn't here last night, or last time," or something like that. "But you came back the exact same way that you went, so you would have run across him. He wasn't dead that short of amount of time." Like, I don't understand. It really did seem like that was just like a busted up line that made zero sense. Anyway, I'm not going to harp on it, but still, kind of bugged me. I loved seeing Ellie back at Fedra School and see that, especially through this sort of storytelling unraveling of this reality, it's that she's only being a tough girl in Fedra to sort of like show up to Riley, to show Riley that she's a cool kid too. Like, she didn't want to ever punch anyone or do anything like that. But, that's sort of the way she can like measure up to Riley, because she loves Riley so much, not just, obviously as a would-be girlfriend, which of course, but also, just like she looks up to her. She's a little bit older, she's a little bit wiser in the ways of the world. When you're that young, anyone older than you is much wiser. So I did really get this vibe that, when the girl was like, "Hey, your friend's not here. She's the one who fights. What are you going to do?" or something like that. And that's when, you saw those wonderful looks in their faces where she's like, "Oh, she's actually going to hit me." And Bella is just like, getting ready to attack her. It was that little like exchange was great. But that wasn't something that she normally does. You know, Riley does it for her. So I'd like later on when we're sort of remembering that moment as she's telling Riley, the joy and that sort of look of like, I did good. Did I do good? Am I a good girl? Sort of look like my dog gives me for approval. She looked at Riley that way very, very clearly to me. Um, but I do really love the Riley Ellie dynamic. Like once we see that she's, not missing anymore, that, she just came over to seemingly have one good evening with Ellie, um, their dynamic, well, maybe I should phrase it this way. I didn't realize how good of an actress Bella Ramsey is. I thought she was good because, I liked her in Game of Thrones, and so far in this, I thought she was good. But the performance that she puts on in this episode is next level acting. I mean, like genuinely, she is in the pocket of that character so well. And the emotional range that she hits with this one episode, from sheer sadness to incredible joy down to devastation, and you get to sit there and watch all of it and believe every bit of it. It was amazing. I mean, she just blows me away. The very first episode, you didn't like the actress who played Ellie. She seemed bratty and annoying. You were dead wrong. She's amazing, and you feel every moment. Yeah, man, I'm with you. This is gonna sound a little mean. It seemed like she had like an extra chromosome somewhere in here. And I'm not trying to be mean. I'm just saying, like she looked a little bit different, is all. And so I feel like I'm digging myself a hole in trying to explain this. But I sort of held it against her. I was like, she's a little bit wonky. How good can she actually be? No, she's great. I'm an asshole. She's wonderful. All right. So they finally get, of course, they steal the dead man's booze, which was a nice move that I would have done at their age. I thought that was great. But I have to say that if that was the first time that Ellie ever tried whiskey, she would not have reacted that way. She would have done like the like the pained alcohol feel that everyone who's ever had a drink knows intimately. Especially like the first time you ever have it, you're just like, oh, what the, so they steal the hooch. They end up using the hooch as a sort of a trigger to allow them to get closer to each other. And you see this sort of play between the two. And the whole time I'm watching their relationship, from the very beginning, scene with them together, all the way to the very end, it was just like the best feeling ever. Like I felt vicariously the love that they had for each other, and it made me fill with joy. It was genuinely like a heartwarming, bright, and beautiful thing to watch. And to them sort of like slowly moving closer, like, is she into it? I don't, because again, this era is before LGBTQ is normalized. And regionally, it's not normalized now, but it was like 2009 or something when marriage rights were coming up for the LGBTQ community. So these two girls, these two gay women, young ladies, are coming at it from a place of, this is a negative. This is what people make fun of people who are like this, how I feel inside. So they have to be, they haven't gotten to the point where it's accepted in every corner of the world yet. So they must be having this sort of like, if I do tell her I like her, is she going to, be grossed out by me? Am I a monster, or maybe is she the same? And like all the fears compounded of just normal rejection with the added social stigma behind it. It's just like having all of that built up and just seeing them sort of playing with their proximity and their intimacy. It was beautiful. Oh God, it just reminded me of being a kid and that first love. Oh, I just loved it so much. And it just gave me joy to see two people make a connection. It's brilliant. So watching them sort of do that sort of sidling up with the carousel, which kind of reminded me a little bit of Something Wicked This Way Comes. Just going to say. And they didn't get older or get younger. They should have. Underrated film, people. Something Wicked This Way Comes. Great literature before that. Okay, so then we got the photo booth, which is awesome. They, if you've never been in a photo booth before, I've never even been in a photo booth, but I imagine you don't have a clue when it's exactly going to strike, or you have to, do these stupid group poses and stuff. That was just a fun little playful moment. And then they got to a point where it put I was at like a joy level, and I sort of went off the chart in happiness when they opened up to the arcade. I don't know what it is about arcades that just excite me. It's just, it puts me back. So Mortal Kombat 2 was after my time in the arcades. So my time in the arcades for fighting games was Street Fighter 2. Just, you would have to sit there and wait because there's this mass of children all waiting their turn, and you take your quarter and you put it up at the tail end of the quarters to say, that's my quarter, that's my game when it gets to the front. And you just sort of wait, and then you challenge each other and you talk smack, and it's like this huge communal experience based around only two people being able to do it at once. So everyone else is watching. And it's just so much fun. You're not just socializing, you're laughing and, getting frustrated. And it's just a great, great moment. And it's definitely a time machine. Yeah. So then she goes like and show. Well, I can't remember. The only part I thought was really wild and inappropriate was the lingerie scene. Because that line of this, I think she said she's going to be 17 or she's going to be 16, Riley. When she says to the 14-year-old Ellie, I was just imagining what you would look like in this lingerie. It gave me the creeps. It doesn't sit right with me. Like, it's a weird line. I know it's a kid saying it to a kid, but the people watching this, by and large, are adults looking at children talking sexually. And at 14, I guess maybe it's normal. I don't know. It made me feel weird. I didn't like it. It seemed wildly inappropriate. And just, you don't need it, I like that. Everything leading up to that line let you know the exact same information than her saying the line. And it's gross is what it is. They're fucking kids. Don't sexualize children. It's fucked. Okay, so I get past it. So then we, they're sort of doing this 5 wonders of water of them all, but at a point they go to the Mexican food joint. She's like, "You're making me tacos?" And she's like, "No." So you see the sadness, like, "Oh, I was hoping for tacos." It's like every day for me. I just want tacos. Hook a brother up. They go back there. She realizes she's been sleeping that whole time. And the Fireflies just sort of recruit her, and they're using her to make bombs. Like, that's a fucked up thing. How broken is Riley? And she explains it with she had a family, and that's why it was so important that someone chose her. But how fucked up broken is her relationship that a destructive relationship is the best option for her? Like, I'm going to join a rebel sort of anti-government unit just because they showed interest in me as a person. Like, that's sad if that's where you are. Ugh, devastating. It's a kid too, man. It's just so freaky. And then we sort of pan off when they're doing the arcade stuff, and we see the one clicker. Like, I don't know what they're called. Mushroom guys. Mushroom heads. Toadstools. Just like laying there. And we already knew, like, we don't see Riley anywhere, so we assume she has to die, of course. Is this where Ellie gets bit and has the scars from? We don't know, but that's probably going to happen too. So seeing the one guy there, we are just like, yes, I know, I accept it. But for some reason, at the same time, I'm just so filled with joy. As soon as it pans over there, it's just like, I knew he was going to show up, but it's just the dread that just sinks into your bones, seeing that damn guy, knowing that joy and love that you just witnessed for 20 minutes is about to get fucking crushed, and they're still in the middle of their high. Oh my gosh, it was devastating seeing that stupid freaking clicker. And so, you're just like waiting for the other shoe to drop. Okay, when is he going to get him? When is it going to happen? It's coming soon. It's got to be soon. Uh, Riley says that she's going to leave. So she's, tonight's their last night. That sort of creates a rip between them. They leave. Ellie realizes that if this is the last time she's ever going to see her friend, she might as well spend as much time as possible. Starts going back. She hears a scream, ends up being like a Halloween toy store, or a Halloween mall store, which I just have to say, I wish the malls that I went to growing up had Halloween stores year round. That would be dope. I probably would have had a whole different lifestyle if I just have a Halloween store growing up. And malls as a kid, and I think it has to be like this little pocket, generational pocket for the mall people to know. But going to the mall was a big deal. It was a sense of independence. Like, you're around the world, you're around the city, which is just this one mall, alone, just you and your friends. You're like grown-ups at this point. It feels kind of cool. I mean, I always go to like the hobby stores, like in the bookstores in the mall, so I'm kind of the nerdy side of it. But it's still the sense of sort of cool independence. And there's always that dream as a kid going to the mall, like, I'm going to meet a girl. Yeah. Oh, I can't wait. Maybe we can hold hands. I was young. But like, that's the thing, right? Like, you go to the mall to meet girls, to go, have fun at the arcade, or just hang out and try to look cool. No one at the mall looks cool ever, but still, you didn't know that. Like, that's what the mall was. It was exciting. But if you never grew up around that, seeing these kids freak out over a mall, I don't know if you would have the same impact. It was just like this nostalgia and dopamine hit this episode. Until we have that great dance scene with that Etta James take on the Tina and Ike Turner song, I Got You, Babe. Just dancing in masks like the coolest kids in the goddamn world. And that moment, you just see Ellie start slowing down. It's ticking in her head. She knows she's going to make a move. Is it going to be okay? And you get all that tension just with her bobbing back and forth slower and slower. She takes the mask off, and then she looks up at her, and she's like, don't leave. And she says, okay. And then she just plants one right on her. Oh, it was beautiful. It was the most adorable thing ever. It just reminds me of my first kiss. Oh, gosh. It's just nostalgia, right? It's vicarious first love. And there's nothing more beautiful than that. Ugh, it was great. And then the monster comes in and ruins it all. This guy, dude. First of all, this is the most lively of clickers. And I'm sitting here thinking, why don't they just shut up and stand still? Sort of T-Rex that motherfucker. But then Ellie didn't know about that until Joel told her. So it makes sense that that is not the route they took. But I did, excuse me, whoa. But I did love seeing that the fear, the terror, the reality, like flooding that, like just like, I'm gonna die, oh my gosh, get away from me. And then all of a sudden it's like on the other girl, and she's like, oh no, you get off. And all of a sudden she gets all this courage, and adrenaline's pumping, and Ellie's just stabbing the shit out of this thing, which is awesome. Riley goes up and hits it with a bat, and Ellie just ends up smacking it right in the skull, dropping it. And she does what every kid in every situation would do in that exact same moment. First it's fear, and then it's like laughing out of nervousness and fright. Just trying to calm herself down. She's laughing like, did you see that? That was crazy. Just having this really great visceral moment. I thought it was beautiful. And then you see Riley looking at Ellie's arm, and we know exactly like, oh shit, okay. But to see Ellie's emotions just flooding, like freaking out, no. Like, she finally has the one thing that she's been dreaming about for however long. She kissed the girl, and the girl liked it and kissed her back, and now they're going to fucking die. Like, it's too young for that to be a romantic notion, right? Like, I feel like there's like a certain age, you're just like, oh, you're gonna die with me. That's romantic. Maybe it's just because I've been married for too long. That's my only way out. Help. Just kidding, honey. Love you. But like, right? I just see that great terror emotion that she's just pouring out of herself. And the stark, just almost paralytic acceptance of Riley for that fact. Like, Ellie's breaking counters and glass and screaming and just going nuts. And Riley's just like, this is the end. That's it. Just totally accepting it. And then that moment, which then pays off the ending of this episode, where Riley says, you know, we can just shoot ourselves or we can spend each and every moment that we have left with each other. We didn't have to see Riley turn and Ellie try to escape from her or kill her. But we know that in either of those cases, it's the saddest thing that could happen in that moment for Ellie. And so you just feel it, you know, for her. It's just the pain of having to deal with that. But then that explains that we know she sat there and stayed with her friend until her friend turned, thinking she was going to turn, of course. And then when she didn't, she probably just stayed there for a while with her, just holding her dead body, just because she finally found love and now it's gone. And that's what you would do, you know? So we know later now we get to the very end of the episode, and of course she's not going to leave Joel. Of course not. This is her father. This is the only one who's ever cared about her and stuck by. She's not going to give up on her. She didn't give up on her girlfriend. She's not going to give up on Joel. It's just like, it's great. And all we had to see was her fear of doing it right, sewing him up as a closing statement of this episode. And it's just like, damn, this is amazing storytelling. Absolutely amazing storytelling. And I don't know if it's exactly like the game. Hopefully I can ask my buddy and find out. But it was great. Like, this was such a good episode. Riley's speech about option 2, not taking the easy way out and living to the fullest with whatever time she has left, hit you hard. Yeah, man. I feel you. I feel you. It was beautiful. My favorite part of this was the first kiss progression. Seeing it from the very beginning where they're sort of laughing and buddying and, you know, sort of wrestling and stuff, to I'm terrified, I'm afraid, but I'm going to do this anyway. And I just, that's that first love vibes, man. You gotta dig that. My least favorite was the line, and now I can't remember the exact line that Riley gave about seeing the dead guy, but she would have had to go right past here and then come right back. And for some reason, the line stuck out in my head and sort of hit me wrong. But other than that, this is a 5 out of 5 Evil Eye episode, as always with The Last of Us. It seems like it's not a consistent tone in each episode emotionally. They sort of hit you on this weird, crazy roller coaster, and they just sort of allow the narrative to sort of take us into these wild, emotional places. I mean, but it's just consistent the whole time. And I'm now waiting for the other shoe to drop. Like, is the end going to suck super bad just because we got so good in the beginning? You know, like, do we deserve a full season of a great show? We're the worst. I don't think we do. But if they give it to me, I'll take it. All right. That's all I had. Thank you guys so much for tuning in. Chris, great to see you, man. If you saw this, did it hit you as hard as it hit me? Were there different elements that you liked more that maybe I didn't talk about? Let me know in the comments below. Have a fantastic evening, everyone. And next time, I promise we'll try to get my co-host back in here to join me. And as always, remember that evil spelled backwards is live. So get out of there. Be evil.